Alright everyone, what is going on? BusterBarnes here, bringing you guys my match recap / review of Chelsea's 1-0 win away at Fulham in the Premier League. A very important result for us, for Frank Lampard, for hopefully the team to get on the right track and start winning some games in the Premier League. But it did not come easy, and there was some controversies in the match. All sorts of things happened. I will be giving you guys my match overview as well as my player ratings and my player of the season point scoring system for what was a very clutch game. But if you guys do enjoy these reviews, please leave a like, comment down below your thoughts and ratings for the players on the game, and as always, do subscribe for more Chelsea FC content. Now, as I get into the match review, I'm going to start off with the starting 11, which caused a little bit of controversy. Had a few fans riled up before the match even took place. We saw Rudiger starting, which was an interesting one. Azpilicueta was at right back. Now, it does probably seem that Reece James wasn't fit enough to start this game, which is fair enough. You know, against Arsenal, we rushed him back and he wasn't quite his best, so I do think that's probably the right decision. Still, though, planting a little bit of seeds of doubt in my mind. The midfield was an interesting one as well. We did see Jorginho and Kovacic come back in next to Mason Mount. Some people wanted Gilmour to play. I was one of them. It did seem like this was a bit of a safe selection from Frank Lampard, which is kind of not the way we wanted it to go, but I mean it did eventually get the win, so I suppose you can't complain too much. Kovacic starting, I guess, made a bit more sense for maybe that balance of defence and attack. The front three, though, it was Pulisic, Giroud and Ziyech. I wasn't too mad about Giroud starting. I did predict Verna. I didn't want Verna to start, that's just what I thought Lampard would do, and he didn't. And considering Fulham was sort of sitting back, looking to counter, I think Giroud was maybe one of the better options up front. I personally would have gone with Tammy Abraham, but wasn't going to complain too much. And Pulisic on the left, obviously he's a quality player, but I do think that Hudson-Odoi deserved to start, so a bit of a shame not to see him on the wing. But him, Abraham and Werner all came on a little bit later, but we'll get onto that. But first, let us start with the first half, and to be honest, it was pretty much mainly us. I'd say we were in control. We had a lot of possession, which Fulham were trying to soak up. They had some good performances. I think Lookman looked dangerous as always, and that's why I was a bit nervy with Azpilicueta starting. He does not look himself, especially attacking-wise as well. It was really not his day. But I'd say the midfield actually controlled the game quite well. I think Kovacic played all right. I think Jorginho was actually quite good, to be fair to him. I think Ziyech looked like he definitely regained a bit of sharpness from that game against Morecambe. But Pulisic, Giroud didn't really look on it. A lot of our attacks were coming down the right because, I know, our left-hand side just wasn't really feeling it, which when you've got Aspi down the right as well, whose crosses were just not on, was a bit of a shame. We had a few maybe shaky moments from Rudiger, but I think Tiago Silva kept the defence fairly well structured. But I mean, the main person to talk about is Mason Mount, all over the pitch, making tackles, making runs, hit the bar in the first half as well, so we were unlucky not to go 1-0 up. There was a few other good attempts. Rudiger, I think, won a header from a corner, and it was a good save from Areola. Areola had a pretty good game himself, so maybe we could have seen the scoreline be a little bit higher if you know, he didn't have such a quite good day out. But that's what can sometimes happen in football, so can't complain. But it wasn't about the 41st or 44th minute that Anthony Robinson from Fulham, I think I said that weird, came sliding in to Azpilicueta, and I think it was the pure force of the challenge which made it a straight red card. Now, I'm not sure if it was definitely a straight red, but I think the force, the connection with the knee and the shin, I guess you can't really complain. So yeah, red card, they've one man down, and it makes it a little bit easier for us. Although I still had a bit of a weird feeling that we weren't going to win the game. I don't know if any of you guys were that. It's probably nervy from just not winning so many games recently. But, you know, Fulham still had their chances before Anthony Robinson got sent off. He was very good down the left, and they had a couple of counter-attacks, but luckily they didn't really go anywhere. Mendy wasn't troubled that much in this game, had to make maybe one or two decent saves. But going into the second half, it was a bit more of the same sort of thing. There was a little bit of a period where Fulham looked on top, which was a bit worrying, but then we did see the likes of Tammy Abraham come on, and it was actually him and Giroud up front. I believe it was it Kovacic or Jorginho, one of those two, came off, and we did actually go to a 4-4-2. And when that happened, we definitely looked a lot more dangerous. Abraham making runs in behind, and then after that, we actually saw Hudson-Odoi and Verna eventually come on for Giroud and Ziyech. I think Ziyech's probably been rested for the Leicester game, and it was just more and more attacking from us. But when not too long after Hudson-Odoi came on, he finds Chilwell with the chipped over ball. Chilwell crosses it in, it gets parried by the keeper, falls to Mason Mount, who definitely deserved a goal. He was the A-star man of the game, essentially. And yeah, it just makes sense that he was the person that won us the game. All over the pitch, trying to make things happen. Had the most key passes. I think he's had the most chances created for a Chelsea player in quite a while. I think he's actually up there with Fernandes and De Bruyne for chances created in the Premier League. So it just shows what a great season he's having. It shows how great he is at that sort of central midfield number 8 role, and that he's not a bit further forward as well. Yeah, Hudson-Odoi, Abraham had a really big impact. Timo Verna, on the other hand, now he's making great runs and getting into great positions. I seem to say this all the time. Like, it's not as if he's not doing anything in the games, but his confidence, you can just tell, is just gone at the moment. Just really bad touches, shots that are going way wide. It just was not a great showing from him again. Like I said, though, him getting in the right positions does show that it could eventually, change, and, stuff could start going in his favour. But it's not looking great at the moment, and I mean, he definitely should not be starting any of our games soon. Maybe he'll start against Luton, I think it is, on the weekend, but he probably should not be starting against Leicester. Obviously, my preview for that game will be up tomorrow against Leicester, but I mean, just there are some players that definitely do need to come into this team. Even though we won 1-0, we probably should have done a bit better, and there were a few performers that I think definitely do need to be replaced. But we'll get onto that when I do go into my player ratings. But yeah, that was basically the game, guys. Mason Mount gets the goal. Fulham on a bit of an attack towards the end, but we mainly had the game under control. And yeah, once we went 1-0 up, it was pretty clear that it was going to stay that way. We had a couple of chances to maybe boost that, but like I said, Verna just wasn't really his day. He was the one getting in the positions to score the goals, and unfortunately he did not have his shooting boots on. But with the player ratings, I will start with Edouard Mendy. Now, as you guys know, I usually like to give the back line sort of 7s for keeping clean sheets. However, we were against 10 men for the whole of the second half, and also I think attacking wise, maybe some of the players weren't that great, or maybe a few mistakes, so I think that maybe I won't be giving that high ratings. Mendy, I'm going to give a 6. Did have a bit of a shaky communication issue, which I think was more his fault, with Azpilicueta, where he almost gave the ball away and there was an open goal, but luckily we cleaned it up. He made 1 or 2 other decent saves, so not much more to say. I don't know if the mistake is to maybe, people can think, oh no, it's a dodgy keeper thing, or if it's just a whole generalisation of how the team's feeling at the moment. Time will tell on that one. I think you give Mendy till the end of the season to see how good he is, and then after that you maybe look into if we do need a new keeper or not. But obviously he's way better than any of our other keepers anyway. He's going to get a 6 out of 10. Starting at right back, Azpilicueta, I'm actually going to give the lowest rating out of our back 4. That is a 5.5. Like I said, a few defensive mishaps. He just doesn't have that yard of pace anymore that he used to maybe have a bit more, so players can get past him quite well. He did technically win the foul that got Robinson sent off, so you've got to give him credit for that, I guess. But I mean, his crossing, he hit the first man so many times. He just really did not have a very good game at all. Hopefully James will be available for the Leicester game. Yeah, I love Azpilicueta, but it just wasn't his game, so 5.5 out of 10 for me. He obviously kept a clean sheet, so can't go too low. Rudiger's going to get a 6 out of 10. Kept the clean sheet, maybe could have got a goal. Defended fairly alright. A few of his passes were a bit sketchy, but obviously he doesn't play that much, so you can argue about sharpness. I think it was a fine performance, but I want to see Kurt Zouma back, definitely, for the Leicester game. Maybe he was being rested, I'm not too sure, because he has played quite a lot of our games recently. Even he had to play against Morecambe. I mean, he didn't have to play against Morecambe. He could have played Tomori, but we didn't. We played him, so maybe it makes sense giving him a rest. Tiago Silva and Ben Chilwell both going to get a 6.5. Would maybe highlight Silva's performance a little bit more. I gave Ben Chilwell the 6.5 because he kind of got the assist for the Mason Mount goal, putting the cross in at the box, and he obviously kept a clean sheet and did make some good tackles and recoveries, so I think Chilwell had a decent game. Tiago Silva, I think, kept the defence in line. He made some very good blocks, I think, that were quite crucial, and did actually maybe clean up for 1 or 2 mishaps as well. So I think that he definitely stood out in the back four for me with his performance. He was actually up for man of the match as well, but there was only one clear winner of that. But yeah, him and Chilwell are going to get 6.5. Jorginho is also going to get 6.5. Now that I think about it, maybe I should have given Tiago Silva 7, to be honest, but 6.5 is what I've done, and maybe we'll up that. But Jorginho's going to get 6.5. Actually, fairly pleased with his performance. Like I said, Fulham were down to 10 men for a bit, so it was always going to be a bit easier to control the game. But I think even before then, he was making tackles, interceptions, and I think it was a decent performance from him. And with the actual news that Kante is not going to be fit for the Leicester game, which is a bit of a shame, and it'll be interesting to see who gets the nod over him or Gilmour. It'll probably be Jorginho, to be honest. Which I don't know how I feel about, but he did have a decent game in this one. So 6.5 for him. Kovacic going to give a 5.5. I just didn't really notice him that much, to be honest. I think he lost the ball a couple of times. Maybe 5.5 is a little bit harsh, but it wasn't as bad as some of his other performances, like against City and Arsenal. I think that Kovacic definitely is maybe getting a bit better. Maybe against Leicester we'll see him back to his normality. But yeah, I don't know. Just when he gets the ball in the sort of final third area, I just sort of, put my head down and think that we're going to lose the ball or just going to make a pass that makes no sense. But, going from one end to the other, Mason Mount's getting a 9 out of 10. Easily our best player. Tackles, interceptions, could have had more than the 1 goal when he hit the bar. Could have had an assist as well or 2. Created a lot of chances. I think it was pretty much complete number 8 midfield role. I think if he got another assist or another goal, he could have maybe been up to even more. Maybe we would have seen a 10 rating. But it was basically the Mason Mount show this game, and he could have perhaps been the one to keep Frank Lampard his job for a little bit longer, because yeah, if we'd lost that game, not saying I would have fired Lampard, but we know what Chelsea's board are like, so Mason Mount definitely helping out the gaffer on that one. Going up to the front three, Pulisic going to give a 5 out of 10. That is actually the lowest rating. Like I said, most of our attacks were down the right-hand side. He did make one good run, but just couldn't quite get on the end of the ball, which would have been a surefire goal. He makes some good dribbles, but it was probably a bit more less than we're used to seeing him to. Lost the ball. I think that it just wasn't a great performance from him, and I think it shows why Hudson-Odoi, for the moment, needs to definitely start over him. I'm not saying that he'll be better than Pulisic, or he is overall, but I think right at this moment, Hudson-Odoi is one of our most informed forwards, so definitely needs to be starting a bit more. Pulisic getting a 5 out of 10. Ziyech's going to get a 6.5. I thought that he was the most or the best performer out of our front three. Did create some chances. His left foot was very dangerous. Had some shots that were maybe unlucky, with some blocks and deflections to not go in, or to not at least trouble the goalkeeper. I think he looked a lot better. I think more can definitely help his sharpness up, and I think he's going to be very important for our next few games as well. And yeah, 6.5 for him. Did get a goal and an assist, but I think that it was a good show out. Giroud's going to get just a basic 6. I think he linked up fairly well. He didn't score a goal, and maybe he should have done a little bit better with some opportunities. I do think it makes sense him starting this game, although I would have personally started Abraham over him. I think against Leicester we have to see Abraham start. I think he's our best performer. I think Abraham, Hudson-Odoi and Ziyech are probably the best front three that we have right now based on current form. And yeah, Giroud was okay, but nothing to really write home about in my opinion. If we go to the bench, going to give Abraham a 6.5. I think he impacted the game well when he came on, made some good runs, showed some good energy, made some good passes as well. His passing game is actually really improving. He's kind of improving in all aspects, and it's really nice to see. Hudson-Odoi is going to get a 7 because he was pretty much directly involved in that goal that we scored once coming on. He did a really nice pass as well over to Verna, which Verna fluffed with his touch, which getting onto Verna, he's going to get a 5.5. Might have got lower, but he wasn't on the pitch for long enough. Maybe that's harsh, I don't know. I think Verna will come good, but it was not a great showing off the bench from him, especially compared to the other 2 guys that came on. But yeah, guys, that is going to be my overall player ratings. Let me know yours in the comments below. If I'm going to get to my player of the season point scoring system, I'm going to give one player the 3 points, and I'm going to give 2 players 1 point. So I don't think anyone really stood out between the main player and the other guys. I wouldn't say had loads of an impact to get a 2. The 2 players with 1 point are going to be Tiago Silva and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi coming on, being involved with the goal, I think just shows his impact at the moment and how he needs to start some more games. Tiago Silva, I think, kept our back four quite solid, and definitely cleaned up for a few of the other players at points as well, especially towards the end when maybe we switched off a little bit. The 3 points is obviously going to Mason Mount, guys. Man of the match performance. He's probably our best performer at the moment, especially with Reece James out. He's been our best performer for probably the last few games. And yeah, he definitely deserves the 9 out of 10 rating. If you look at how the ratings are tallying up, Mason Mount actually tied at the top with Reece James, so it'd be interesting to see if one of them pulls away from the other. Obviously, Reece James coming back soon. A lot of players now crowding around that sort of 10-9 sort of mark as well, so should be interesting. Still half the season to go though, so anything can happen. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more Chelsea FC content. Like I said, my preview for the Leicester game will be out tomorrow, so do stay tuned for that. I do hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.